Good morning. My name is Sharon Sabota, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am coming to you from a hotel room in Minneapolis today. I came here excited about the theme of hope and strength in the face of challenges, with faith in the universe that I'd find the means to deliver that message on this trip. And I'm here to tell you that the universe is coming through for me again. So here are three things that I found. As many of you know, I tend to find hope in stories and in the lessons that I encounter as I'm walking through life. So the first thing is to reframe our perspective. When things feel particularly bad in life or you feel a little bit hopeless, try to take a breath, observe what and who's around you, and reframe your perspective if you can. So yesterday, I was feeling a little bit bad for myself about some kind of trivial things. For one, it was a crazy kind of cold, even for the people in Minnesota. When I stepped out of the conference hotel to find lunch, I decided to look for the local Target to pick up some gloves and hats for myself, as well as my mom and my children who were back in the hotel room. And on the way back to the hotel, I got a little lost in my thoughts as I contemplated the number of unhoused people I was seeing on the streets and so many other problems that I was thinking about in my own life. So much so that I kind of lost, I wasn't even present on the walk I was on. And I started to feel really cold. And I noticed that the conference hotel that I was heading back to was no longer on my path. I was just lost in the cold. So I'm feeling bad. My forehead feels frozen. The wind is kind of piercing through my jacket. Um, my hands are cold and I'm shivering and, like I said, having my own little pity party. And then I saw a woman in her 60s and she was pulling her suitcase with her bare hands and she had a backpack and other belongings and she looked really cold. I asked her if she needed some gloves and made some small talk as I said, it's really cold out here. And she was like, yeah, I know it is. I live out here. And I asked her if she needed some gloves and she was like, yeah, but do you have them? And I actually did. So I shuffled through my bag, found her some gloves. We talked for a minute and we wished each other well and went off our separate way. After I walked away from that encounter, I felt a little less sorry for myself and more present in the moment. I was able to kind of reframe my personal circumstance by this chance encounter. The next thing, shortly after that, I was reminded is the importance of speaking our authentic truth. So I spoke with this woman named Devana, and she wrote a book called My Pretty and Its Ugly Truth. She had been a victim of sexual abuse as a child and carried the burden of that truth alone until she was in her 30s, at which time she wrote her story and she said she freed herself. When she did this, her whole world opened up, and the shame and the fear that she had felt early in life changed to hope. She even went on to run for public office in the city of Minneapolis, and she lost, but she lost by less than 1,200 votes. Her opponent had 8,500 votes, and she had nearly 8,400. Sorry, I mean 85,000 and 84,000. She doesn't have any regret. Instead, she has tremendous pride that people know her name and her story, and she now knows that when she speaks, the world listens. And the other story I'm going to share really quick is about showing up for each other. So I met an intergenerational group of women who are holding down the space at what is now called George Floyd Square. And it has become the longest ongoing protest memorial in the United States. It's not too far from where I went to college and where I came back and got a master's degree in screenwriting a couple of summers ago. So this group of women, in collaboration with others in the neighborhood, have taken what would be commercial space and roads leading up to that space and transformed it into a place of healing, remembering, and community. They've submitted a list of 24 demands to the city of Minneapolis, but they said the main thing that they're asking for is that the city, the state, and the world stop killing Black people. When I asked one of them the main thing she's learned from being on the streets advocating for community and justice for the past 900 days, she said she's learned what it truly means to be a neighbor. And the way to be a true neighbor, she said, is to find out what our neighbors need and what their needs are, and then address those needs. So as we go off today, I invite us to do our best to reframe our feelings of overwhelm and hopelessness about the variables in life that are out of our control, and to focus on the things that we can do for ourselves and for each other and for our communities. As Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you did, they'll forget what you said, but they will never forget the way you made them feel. So as we look for hope in challenging times, I invite us to continue pushing ourselves to reframe our perspective, to use our voices to speak our truths, and to continue to show up for each other. Together, let us worship.